This film study will focus on the explosive plays that Jahmyr Gibbs turned in and really turning the tide on a tough and physical, rugged Tampa Bay Bucks defense. Detroit was able to pull out a 24-9 victory on the back of obviously a great, borderline legendary defensive performance, the Legion of Whom is probably one of the best names that I've heard anybody use to describe it. But in any case, we're going to focus on Gibbs here. I think I've got 9 plays queued up, one of which does not involve him. It's the 3rd and 2, an amazing call by John Morton on a conversion on the 9th possession to get the ball to Brock Wright out into the left flats. As an aside, 2 observations on Morton. Rewatching the film this morning, things reflect a little better. You can kind of see, I think, evidence of at least two factors or 2 parts of the game plan. Basically, getting the ball out in the flats against the Bucks team, number 1. Number 2, 12 personnel usage. That really seems to be one of the hallmarks of John Morton's big plays. How he's able to generate big plays is 12 personnel. Normally, you're getting the other team's base defense. In some cases, Tampa Bay last night responded with their nickel look. We'll get the film started here. I'll generally have the information for the play and the possession. In this case, it's the first possession of the game in the first quarter for the Lions. Of course, they go down and take a 7-0 lead. So it's a one-high safety look from the Bucks against 12 personnel. Gibbs will be spot shadowed in yellow generally. Ball is on the left hash. The Bucks have apexed one of their inside linebackers and then blitzed him. I think this is just a poor blitz from an awareness standpoint because Detroit's lined up with twins, and to me it seems to be evidence piece number 1, I should say, that Morton was trying to attack in the flats, particularly to their right, but oftentimes where twins lined up. And you can see the inside linebacker, Dennis, expands with Gibbs into the flat. McCollum, in my opinion, the Lions perhaps saw some things on film where they wanted to go at him in the right flats. If you don't know, the Bucks play left to right for their corners. Jamel Dean to the right, and McCollum to the left. And there's so many passes that end up in the right flats. At least from a design standpoint, I think Morton had it in his mind to show McCollum and that left side of the defense different looks. It's a great juke on the inside linebacker here, Dennis, who played a whale of a game. I think he led the way with 12 tackles, and Tevin Smith had 13. Huge play out to the field, the wide side of the field this time. We'll give you the end zone angle. So 12 personnel, again, I think is a control feature, particularly 12 personnel with Gibbs in the game last night. I was not, and I still am not, a huge fan of just a dedicated rotation, meaning odd-numbered possessions were Jahmyr Gibbs, even-numbered possessions were David Montgomery. Occasionally, you got some substitution in there, and I'll show you one a little bit later. So the edge defender, who's kind of obscured by this camera, is going to work his way upfield, and then the inside linebacker, third inside linebacker, I believe, 45, is going to blitz through the B gap. Real poor blitz, if you ask me, given that you had twins located out to the field. Gibbs is going to get to the bottom of the numbers, or just outside the bottom of the numbers, and juke Servakier Dennis. I don't like the blitz from the Bucks here. It certainly didn't work out in their favor. Ends up being a huge gain for Jahmyr Gibbs. Just too easy to flip the ball out to him, out in the flats, essentially a swing pass, and generate 30 yards on it. The Bucks' aggressiveness on defense, clearly it worked at times, right? They got to Jared Goff. He did end up, I think, 20 of 29 passing, but looked pressured, hurried at times. He had the strip sack on the second possession. They really ruined an opportunity for Detroit to go down and take a 2-score lead. And then, of course, he threw the interception late into the second quarter. Gibbs in space, I think, was a saving grace at times because the Bucks' aggressiveness got exploited. Moving to the third possession, this is after the strip sack on Goff by Diaby. And it's a downhill run concept, again, out of 12 personnel. So he's going to take this thing downhill. It's a YY trips formation. 90 Logan Hall is a heck of a player for the Bucks. He gave the tight ends problems. In this case, he ends up getting hands on Gibbs coming downhill. Once the Lions' offensive line could get to the second level, Gibbs was finding lanes. The Bucks did a great job oftentimes of playing or getting across the line of scrimmage and disrupting his path. And obviously David Montgomery as well, who I think 13 carries for 21 yards, something in that range. But 90 is a heck of a football player, man. He's here on this downhill run concept, doesn't actually make the tackle. Same play from the end zone angle with the ball on the left hash. There's the 2 tight ends, Brock Wright and Sam Laporta. I think Laporta did a great job in this game blocking edge defenders. Oftentimes it was number 43 or number 5. So in this case, they get to the backside inside linebacker with the center, Glasgow, who's kind of obscured by the camera. Sewell and Brock Wright, the tight end. Combo Hall. So Sewell will move up to Dennis, and as he does, then Hall tries to fold inside here. Gibbs with a great little jump cut to the side, while Laporta handles the edge defender or the OLB. Again, it ends up being a 9-yard gain downhill. You kind of wish you could have seen Montgomery get loose on some of these, but because they utilize 12 personnel from a formation standpoint to expand this edge defender, it really kind of gave Gibbs more options, if you will, downhill to kind of skip through there and get 9 yards. Still on the same possession, this is 2nd and 6 with the ball on the right hash. Again, Gibbs spot shadowed, and I think this is a designed play. So it's 12 personnel. Second tight end is up here. It's Brock Wright. And this route, I think, is by design to clear space for Jahmyr Gibbs. So basically, on the release to the flats, Gibbs immediately getting to the flats. Goff was pre-snap looking to the top side. Look at his helmet. He was initially looking up here. Made no look into the boundary at all, at least when I started recording. And then post-snap, immediately snaps back down here and looks to the boundary because no one expanded with Gibbs into the flat. You got the inside linebacker, David, who on film, definitely you could tell he was dealing with an injury. Looked a little slower than normal. And then again, it's McCollum. You know, maybe McCollum isn't supposed to deal with that out route by Laporta, but if McCollum is down here dealing with Gibbs, then you're probably talking about a completion to Laporta. So you're kind of, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Just quick recognition by Goff. Neither guy expanded with that route in such a way that they could defend it or prevent Gibbs from catching the ball. You did have a failed 4th down conversion on this drive, the pass to Tesla. I really didn't like the decision. This is the same play from the end zone angle. Brock Wright is off screen to our left. There's the tight end, Laporta. I can't really draw his route perfectly the way that it happens because I only have so much space over here. But Gibbs jetting out into the flats immediately. And look at Goff. He's looking to his left. Kind of just playing games with these guys. I didn't think he had a great handle all game on what kind of pressure the Bucs were going to bring, what the coverage was going to look like. But this is one of those situations, really easy. He just confirmed that the corner wasn't going to be able to defend it. Post-snap quickly, gets it to Gibbs. Huge gain down the right sideline. Again, just a little swing pass. You'll see another example of it a little bit later. I should say just a different variation. 12 personnel was really good to John Morton and the Lions again on Monday night. 5th possession after the failed 4th down conversion, like I said, and we're into the second quarter, so the Lions are up 7-0. Going to go down and get a 14-0 lead because of this 11 personnel duo. You've got a lot going on here, in my opinion. So you've got the insert by the receiver. I think it's Raymond. He's going to go get the strong safety. That's Tevin Smith, number 1. Number 2, Gibbs is on a downhill path, and he'll split what effectively is a combo block by Tate Radledge and Penei Sewell. The tight end, Laporta, again, dealing with edge defenders, maybe not expanding them too much, widening the gap, but it's not getting compressed. And so there's another option for the running backs. In this case, you didn't really have to veer to the outside because he's going to go right in between these two guys. Like I said, I think it's Sewell and Tate Radledge. Great job up here at Laporta, number 1. And then number 2, Raymond, ISO, C-gap insert, I should say, on the strong safety, Smith, who's a heck of a football player. I don't know about you right here. I actually started to look away. I started to type. I have dual monitors, so I keep the data on one screen and watch the game on the other. And I was like, all right, this is over. And then there was a moment where I was like, hey, he's a little closer to Gibbs than I thought. Didn't really have an inkling that he would get caught, but I was just a little surprised that the guy was able to somewhat keep up. It was Antoine Winfield, who made 2 spectacular tackles in this game. That's one thing I have to mention. The Bucs tackled so well for most of the night. They just obviously had trouble with Jahmyr Gibbs when he was able to get out in space. Makes you understand why John Morton is so focused at times on getting him so many touches. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the alternating drive thing. I feel like you could do a little bit better job organizing it, but it certainly worked out because over 200 yards of offense from scrimmage is pretty amazing. So same play from the end zone angle. Laporta going to step out to the edge defender, number 5. Again, I'm not sure who 5 and 43 are, to be honest with you, but here's what I'm talking about. He's not expanding that edge necessarily. Their feet pretty much stay in the same area where they were immediately after a snap. But at least it's not getting compressed. And you have this huge lane that Raymond inserts onto, and he goes to get the strong safety, Tevin Smith. And then the blocks that are, there's a whole bunch of blocks that are very good here, in my opinion. Starting with the center, working to the backside D tackle 96, and then the left tackle Decker. The left guard Christian Mahogany working to the inside linebacker Dennis. We're talking about away from the point of attack, but we'll start to the right and work our way to the left. And then Glasgow, that combo between him and Mahogany worked out great on 96 to 8. And then the one that everybody's talking about here, Radledge and Sewell, it is a great block, don't get me wrong. Radledge bump combo on the D tackle up to Levante David. Again, I didn't think David looked as agile as we've seen him before. And then, you feel like you're like watching the film and you're like, okay, we've got these gaps here. Nope, neither one of those two is where Jahmyr Gibbs goes. He squeezes through, Sewell and Radledge. I think you got a lot of great blocks here across the board to free him up. And like I said, we all knew that it was over, but there's a moment there, like I said, somewhere around the plus 30, plus 25, where for a moment I'm like, well, he's a little closer in keeping up with him than I thought. Cameraman or camerawoman, whatever it is, kind of interesting. Also trying to catch up with Gibbs after the play, just one of those little random things that you notice sometimes. I guess they're trying to keep it as balanced as possible. I have to give them credit on that. So 14-0 lead into the second quarter. We're now moving to the 9th possession. This is really the Gibbs possession, the one that he caps off with a short touchdown run to make it 21-9. Ball happens to be in the middle of the field here. It is a 12 personnel set by Detroit with Gibbs set up as the tailback. So I like the scheme. This is something that they've held over from Ben Johnson. So basically a zone kick, if you ask me, but it's got a wind back nature to it. So the fullback is going to kick out this edge defender. And everybody else, essentially, there's some slight variations here. Everybody else is working this way from an offensive line standpoint. In addition, wide receiver is going to go try to seal the strong safety, 23. And really what they're trying to do is create a one-on-one between the running back and this corner to the bottom side of the screen. Again, it happens to be Zion McCollum. I'm certainly not picking on him because I really like him as a player. I remember when he went into the draft, very talented athlete. I think he's turned into a solid guy. So he's got to fold inside as the receiver goes to get Tevin Smith. And I feel like Detroit, at least when I pause it here, has done a nice job of creating, a wall here for Gibbs, but it's not perfect. It looks a little better paused than it does live speed. But you can see Gibbs has to put his foot in the ground and then go downhill. I think it's underneath of St. Brown's block. I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm saying. Great scheme, if you ask me, by John Morton. Again, it's a holdover from the last couple of years with Ben Johnson. Ball in the middle of the field, like I said, 12 personnel. Everybody for the offensive line, including the tight end, working right to left from our perspective. And then the fullback, Brock Wright, going to kick out the edge defender. As an aside, St. Brown's release is outside here to go get the strong safety, which is really cool, kind of like an arc release, if you will. Let that edge defender go to the inside gap, and you can see the attempt at a kick-out block here. Really, the edge defender's kind of run himself out of the play for a moment, and you can see what I mean in terms of the one-on-one. There's a pseudo wall that's been created by the Lions' offensive line, and then McCollum folding to the inside, trying to make the play. Gibbs is able to get out of there. It's only a 5-yard gain, but I really like the play. I like designed wind-back stuff where the running back starts in one direction and then is designed to bring this back underneath of the zone concept. Still on the same possession to 3rd and 2. Now, admittedly, Gibbs is not on the field. This is Montgomery in the backfield. It's a play action. It's a huge moment. Really nice play call. I think that John Morton probably saved this for a critical situation. This certainly was one. Tampa Bay had closed to 14-9, right, and had a 2-point conversion to get it within 3. 12 personnel, you're going to get return motion by Brock Wright. He's going to move down to this side and then run out into the flats, the top side of our screen, the left-hand side of the offense. In addition here, what I like about the design, again, it's St. Brown. He's tasked with getting to the outside shoulder of this strong safety, who is Tevin Smith. I think Tevin Smith is probably responsible for Laporta and or Brock Wright in man because of the motion. And so St. Brown has got to get to his outside shoulder. St. Brown knows that the corner is man on him, St. Brown. So all he's got to do is basically pick or shield Tevin Smith and that'll allow Brock Wright, it's like a fake kick-out block basically on a play action, to slide past the edge defender out into the flats. Hopefully I explained all that in a way that makes sense. Basically, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's route was designed to get him to the outside shoulder of Tevin Smith, or even the center of his body, the frame of his body, to create that space, to create that lane, I should say, to the outside, the left flats for Brock Wright. Again, John Morton, I think, had some design plays to attack the flats. Generally with Gibbs, it was to the right, the bottom side of our screen in most iterations. But in this case, it happened to be to the left on a 3rd and 2 that I thought was hugely important. Still on that same possession in the third quarter to YY trips. I love this concept. Short, I call it short toss. It's really just a zone. So it's going to be to the top side of our screen, but he's going to take it downhill. And it's a really nice job on the backside by Penei Sewell with the edge defender, or with the D-tackle Hall. Number 5 is kind of just hanging out here, not really defending anything. I guess he's possibly defending a boot by Jared Goff. So they're really -1, in my opinion, from the way they're defending this. Sewell takes Logan Hall, gets just enough of him so that Gibbs can take this downhill. Right around here, I was like, man, he's in 4th or 5th gear already. If there was a lane available, I thought he'd possibly be gone. Give you the same play from the end zone angle. That one happened super quick, right? It's a sick concept, and John Morton's run game was definitely the more effective out of 12 personnel, even though the big one, the 78-yarder, was an 11 personnel group. So the short toss, let's get that out of the way for a moment. Everybody's working right to left from an offensive line standpoint. All of these guys. Sewell is stepping back on Logan Hall, and then Gibbs is going threatening like a toss to the outside, but it's a short toss. It's designed to get downhill. It's not designed to get to the outside at all. And you can see he winds this back underneath of the block by Sewell on Logan Hall. And then a wall of blockers just moving everybody right to left. 12 personnel, like I said, been very effective in 2025 for the Lions. Seems like Morton is really comfortable designing and attacking defenses. It's really a 49ers-esque concept. It can give the look of a wide toss, and certainly you want to threaten the defense sometimes to the outside, but that short toss is designed to really get downhill, get on you right now. 2 more plays here, both from the 9th possession. So 2nd and 7, so 2 plays after the short toss that I just described. This is the big one. It's 12 personnel one more time, and it's a swing screen. So there's a lot going on here, and I think Morton has a great idea of how to attack the Bucs defense if they go cowboy. And what I mean is corners over. So down here in this box, you've got St. Brown and Jamison Williams, and this is both corners for the Bucs in Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean. They've also got a fantastic rookie, Benjamin Morrison, from Notre Dame. But in any case, because they're corners over, it's man, all right? And then once Laporta motions across, that's going to kind of pull Levante David. They're trying to match numbers over there. Well, great design, man. Gibbs is just going opposite of that motion, but to the Twins. Why? I think it's because they know it's man. And in my opinion, Goff probably either had this play call given to him by John Morton and just let it run, confirmed it, or he switched to it because he saw the corners overlook. I don't, get the chance to watch press conferences or anything at all, but here is Jamel Dean with Jamison Williams, and then there is Zion McCollum with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So obviously just running those guys off, running them out of there against man. Sewell leading out in front for Gibbs. Tampa Bay is very fortunate that this didn't end up being a touchdown. Man, it's a great effort by Antoine Winfield. Watch where he comes from on this play. So as Sewell gets out of here in front, or tries to get in front of Gibbs, that's Winfield in center field. It's a great tackle. Sewell's actually very pissed at himself at the end of the play because he feels like he should be able to get this guy out of there, and give Gibbs either, one of 2 ways to go with it. Unfortunately, he totally misses him, and Winfield makes a amazing play that to me looked ugly at first. When I first saw it, I was like, ooh, that looked like an ankle or something like that. So it's, kind of brutal looking. It's a brilliant scheme in my opinion. There's Sewell kind of pissed at himself for not being able to finish it off and give Gibbs that final lane to a touchdown. In any case, I thought it was a big moment, this whole drive. Tampa Bay had just got to 14-9, and Detroit's offense was struggling, quite honestly, in the second quarter. handed 2 short fields to try to extend the lead beyond a 2-score lead and unable to do so, right? And, of course, had the strip sack on the second possession, and the third possession went for it on 4th and 2 unsuccessfully. So very next play, after that swing screen, 12 personnel. One more time, a great job by Laporta on the bottom side of our screen, the right-hand side of the offense. So dealing with the edge defender, number 5, you're not talking about expansion, so he's not hitting a home run. This is a strong single or double. So he's giving the running back space, wall created somewhat. I don't like Mahogany being, nose over toes, but there's a little bit of a swim by Logan Hall one more time. Or maybe it's not Logan Hall, maybe it's 96, my apologies. End zone angle, same play. There's the 2 tight ends. So it's a lateral step by Gibbs initially, and then downhill. So it almost kind of gives like a duo type flavor. Some will call it belly and to use old school terminology, but lateral step by Gibbs, and then getting downhill. You've got a really nice combo here. Down block by Sewell to help out Rattledge. And then the tight end trying to take over Levante David. There's Laporta dealing with the edge defender. I think he's doing a great job consistently, week to week, of blocking, especially at the point of attack in the run game. He seems to be someone that John Morton relies on. It's a great read by Gibbs. He's very slippery. And then some lack of awareness, or I guess there's a little bit of awareness by this cameraman who barely seems to have some awareness of Gibbs throwing the football just past him and it hits someone else. A great moment, if you ask me, for Gibbs, for the team, right, to be able to get a touchdown. My apologies. A great moment there for the Lions to be able to get another score, establish a 2-score lead, and then eventually push it to 24-9. Defense played amazing. I'll have more to say about that. I've already cut up probably 10 or 12 plays. There's almost too much to talk about with the defense. So many guys turning in a tremendous effort. The offense was definitely disappointing. I don't mean to paint too rosy of a picture of it, but I'm trying to just reveal to you what I think was some of John Morton's plans that were successful. Getting the ball out into the flats, number 1. Number 2, utilizing 12 personnel to attack the Bucs defense with the run game, but also occasionally with the pass game. Goff was inconsistent, didn't play as high a level as we're used to, I guess is another way to put it. That's a very tough Bucs defense on the other side, in my opinion. They deserve a lot of credit. Todd Bowles does a great job. They play hard. They tackled extremely well on Monday night. Detroit just has a couple of weapons that they really struggled with at various times. St. Brown early in the game only finished with 6 catches out on 10 targets and 1 touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, the 2 touchdowns, 218 yards overall. The 78-yarder clearly is the big one. But all those passes in the right flats are noteworthy, in my opinion. That's designed, in my opinion, and that's also a way for Goff to confirm things pre-snap and know where he's going with the football. It's a comfortable play for Goff to just be able to get that out there to a weapon like Gibbs in space 3 times out into the right flats. Not the same level of threat, clearly, but on the 3rd and 2, the reverse pivot play action where he hits Brock Wright in the left flats on the 9th possession, the one that Gibbs got 5 touches for 56 yards on. I think that Morton had a great plan for attacking in the flats to the right generally, but in a critical situation, that 3rd and 2 on the 9th possession into the left side. In any case, you guys let me know if you enjoyed the video. If I missed any plays, that you thought were important for Jahmyr Gibbs. I like player-centered videos, number 1. Number 2, possession-style videos. Not sure that I'll necessarily go into one of those this week, perhaps the first possession later on in the week. Bye week is always interesting. But in any case, please, if you like the video, please actually like it on the YouTube app, number 1, and or comment, because that helps push the content out to a larger audience. Finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at Jahmyr Gibbs, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.